This particular piece comes from the same collection, from the Le Tontin collection, which is the same collection that the roux-ware that we sold a few years ago came from. When it was sold, for example, in the year 2000, almost the same price as the chicken cup we sold a year before. We expect the piece to fetch in excess of 200 million Hong Kong dollars. This particular piece comes from the same collection, from the Le Tontin collection, which is the same collection that the roux-ware that we sold a few years ago came from. It's a collection that was put together with a lot of passion by Taiwanese tycoon Robert Cao. And its companion that is now in the Hong Kong Museum of Art, which is a pouch of very similar shape, produced at the same time in the Imperial Workshops in Beijing, but with 12 dragons. Those two pieces came together from the collection of Prince Kong. From his collection, it was passed on to a man of German descent, A.W. Bar. The piece was then passed down and acquired by Paul and Helen Bernard. That came for sale in 1988 at Sotheby's in Hong Kong. That piece was acquired by Hong Kong tycoon Joseph Lau in 1988 at the Paul and Helen Bernard collection, and sold again in the year 2000, where it was acquired by Robert Cao. This was one of two first acquisitions he's ever made at auction. It was purchased in the same sale where the fish jar was acquired. In terms of imperial enamel glass, without question, it is the finest surviving piece. And even though the Palace Museum Taipei, for example, holds 45 pieces of imperial glass, most of them are snuff bottles, 38 of them, and all the others are rather small in size, small brush pots, little spittoons, and there is nothing, in fact, of this size and complexity that survives either in the Taiwan Palace Museum or the Beijing Palace Museum. In fact, these glass-bodied phalanxai were painted alongside copper-bodied phalanxai and porcelain-bodied phalanxai. But these are probably the most challenging because the enamel fires at around the same temperature or just slightly below the temperature where the glass will melt. Technically, they are incredibly difficult. In terms of conception, you can see this sort of trompe-l'oeil effect of a glass of a sort of silk pouch, ribbon-tied. That is kind of reminiscent of lacquer that entered the imperial collection during the Yongjun period, the result of diplomatic gifts between Japan and China. And you'll see in the old imperial collection in Japanese lacquer imitating a sort of tied pouch after the Japanese furoshiki, evoking a sort of sash-tied box. And so that's very possibly where the idea comes of this trompe-l'oeil sash-tied vase. You'll see here the mark is sort of incorporated in the design in a bud here. And the idea of incorporating the mark in the design is something you find on Yongjun period enamels, particularly enamels on copper, or occasionally on a snuff bottle, on a little vessel, you'll find the mark incorporated in the fruit. The design of the phoenix, you might expect, has to do, also refers to, evokes the empress. It might have been a gift for Emperor Qianlong's consort, the Qianlong Empress, or for the Empress Dowager. That's also possible, maybe for his mother. What you'll see is, for example, in other medium, the Baofu Shiping, that idea you'll find in, for example, in porcelain. Possibly the most famous piece in the Guimet Museum is a phalanxai vase with a sash tied around the shoulder. You'll see also on copper, there's a piece in the Palace Museum Taipei, which is a jar with a cover. We expect the piece to fetch in excess of 200 million Hong Kong dollars. If you look at the price it has fetched historically in the past, when it was sold, for example, in the year 2000, it was one of the absolutely the top 2-3 highest prices in the 1999-2000 period. Almost the same price as the chicken cup we sold a year before.